How are you doing today? So, we are going to discuss a few things about the SAT test. The exam is just around the corner on this weekend. On the Saturday, we are going to have our SAT test. So, I thought we'll make a quick video about your approach and last minute's preparations. So what should you do and how should you go about the test? So, I'll quickly run through a few techniques and a few important last minute tips about the test. First of all, let me ask you, what exactly is this SAT test? What does it test? Does it test your English, or it tests your knowledge of grammar or vocabulary, or how fast you can read, or how fast you can analyze, or how good you are at basic maths? What exactly does the SAT test test? So this is very important and very pertinent question because there are perceptions like I'm not able to do good in SAT because my English is not good, or I'm not good at reading, or I'm not good at maths. Does really SAT test all these skills? Well, all these sections or all these I can say parts are there in the test. There is a section of maths, there is a section of English, there is a section of reading. So these various parts or these various skills are definitely tested. More than these skills, the SAT test is a test of how well you understand the test itself. What I mean to say is, even with good English or with good math skills, it is possible that you do not get very good marks in SAT. If you get less marks in maths, does it mean that your maths is poor? You do not know basic maths? If you do not get very good marks in English, does it mean that your English is poor? That you are not able, that you are not a good reader? If you get less marks in grammar, does it mean that your grammar is poor? If that is the case, then everybody whose maths is good and grammar is good and basic reading skills are good should be able to get very good marks in SAT. But the fact of the matter is, even those people who are good at these skills, sometimes do not score very good marks in SAT. Most of the people who take SAT exam are good at speaking. They are able to express themselves very nicely in English. So if their English is so good that they are able to express themselves, why do they not get good marks in English grammar? All of the people are mostly are, at least they have done their 10th, and many of you would have completed your 11th, so you would be very good at reading. You would have done a lot of reading. So why is it that you do not get good marks in reading? The question is, are we really preparing, or have we understood SAT test really properly? The fact of the matter is, SAT test tests how well you know this particular test. It's not a test of your intelligence, it's not a test of your math skills or any of those. If you are good at attempting the test, if you know the technique of doing this test, you get very good marks. Well, to a certain extent, it does reflect your intelligence or your reflexes or how much you practice. But the fact of the matter is, if you know the SAT test in and out, and if you know the techniques of the test with reasonably good English and reasonable command on maths, you will do better in the test as compared to someone who has great skills in maths and English but does not know the techniques. So, what exactly am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, if you focus on techniques and you have got a basic background in maths and English, probably you will do very good in maths, very good in this test. You should try to understand the format of the test. You should try to understand the basic mindset of the test setter and then approach the test. If you do that, you would get very good marks with less preparation. I'm not saying don't prepare, please don't get me wrong. Practice is very important because it helps you to become faster and confident. So, of course, practice is required, but then practice with the right approach is very important. You have to have the right mindset, and you need to understand the test in and out. So what's going on in a test taker's mind is very important, and in a few minutes we are going to understand that. All right, so we'll go through each section. First of all, a few strategies which are common for all the sections, and what kind of approach you should have. You should have a very rested mind. A rested mind is a mind which is not agitated, which is not uh, which is very focused, and you should be relaxed as well as confident, which means you should be mildly alert. Now, being mildly alert is like living in that particular moment, not trying to remember the formulas, not trying to think something beyond the test, what will happen after the test, or how have I prepared, why did I not see that, why did I not go through that, why did I not revise it. Being mildly alert is living in that particular moment and giving your best at that particular moment. I would like to tell you a small example here. So there was one of the participants who scored 35 on 36 in ACT, and he used to just close his eyes for 10 seconds before every section. So 10 seconds is not really long time, but he used to close his eyes for 10 seconds to compose himself. And I found a lot of value in this exercise. So he used it like a ritual, and it really worked for him. In those 10 seconds, he used to tell himself that I need to be just focused in this particular moment. I'm trying to forget everything which has happened or which is going to happen. Let me just focus on this particular moment and try to answer questions. So this is very important. And there are examples where when you try to focus too much, it becomes counterproductive. You get focused on focusing. You try to focus, don't try to focus, get focused. So it is very important to remain just mildly alert. So have this kind of mindset. Take good rest before the test so that you approach the things in the right way. First of all, I'm going to discuss a few common strategies which are applicable to all the sections. The most important thing is process of elimination. When you read a question and when you get the options there are a few options which are absolutely wrong. By reading them for the first time, you can make out, no, this is not the case. So you are in judgmental mode. You are judging it, and that gives you a chance to eliminate. Like out of 4 options, if you are able to eliminate 2, you're just left with 2, and selecting 1 out of 2 is easier because you can get evidence from that. Choose your battles. It is important to do easy questions first. Easy questions give you a lot of confidence, and if you know that the answer is right, if you know the reasons, it makes you that much focused. So you have to start on the right foot. So choose your battles, do easy questions first. Go with a little bit of anticipation and intelligent guessing. So if you are doing, let's say for example, a maths question, and you know that the answer is going to be a positive answer, you can always go for the positive. If you see the line, the slope is positive, obviously all those equations where the slope is negative would be cancelled out. So you can go with some kind of anticipation and intelligent guessing. If a question is difficult, please leave that question at that moment after giving, let's say, 40 seconds to 50 seconds. If you still find that you might be going in the wrong direction, just leave it there. Don't spend too much time on one question. Come back with a different strategy. When you look at the same question, after, let's say, doing 4 5 questions, you will be able to see that question with a different strategy. Ask yourself, can there be an easier way of doing it? If you get it then and there, very good. Otherwise, go to the rest of the questions, finish them, come back to this question. Probably you will find some new way of doing it. Maybe factorization would be an easier way rather than solving it. There are examples of this sort which we'll cover, not in this presentation though, but then we can go have a different presentation where I can give you examples that the same question can be solved in 2 different ways, and when you approach it in a different way, you get faster answers and you save that much time. So go with a little bit of leave the question in case you find it difficult at that particular moment. And in case certain question you're not getting any answer, go with the best guess and move on. Don't really spend too much time on it. Guess it, mark it, and move on. This is not the best strategy, but then for the questions, it is not worthwhile to give all your life to one question if it is not, solving at that particular moment. So, just move on. You have to give your best attempt at the questions for which you are absolutely ready, not for the questions for which you are not ready. So for them, it is okay to give your best attempt. Think about whatever logic comes into your mind at that time. Look at the basic data or content available there. Whatever you can make out, just do that and move on. Now we are going for a few specifics related to the three sections. I'm calling them as three sections because reading, grammar, and maths. So for maths, calculator, no calculator, we will be covering one particular, we will consider that as one. So for reading, it is very important to discover your own style. People say that you should not read the questions first, you should not read the passage first, or some people say read the questions first, read the passage first. All this is very, very personal. I would like you to come up with your own style. If you do three, four passages, you will yourself discover what is your style of thinking. Some people are very objective in their thinking, some people are very elaborate, and they are able to draw pictures, they are able to imagine the scenarios, they are able to understand the context, and from the context they get a lot of clues to answer. So there is no single best style of reading. You should go for the method or the way which helps you save time and get most of the answers right. Skimming, scanning, and searching is what most of the people do in the initial. So now if I have to tell my style of reading, I spend around 30 seconds to a minute's time to understand the passage. So I understand the context. Is it talking about some kind of experiment, or is it talking about some kind of historical event? It is it talking about some kind of space exploration or exploration of something which is not known up till now? So I spend a minute or so understanding the nature of the passage, and I go straight to the questions after that. You have got 12 minutes to solve every passage. 12 fives are 60. You have got around 65 minutes. So 12 minutes for every passage. So what I suggest is spend 1 or 2 minutes understanding the context and reading the passage quickly. I mean, not reading, but understanding the context, the way I said right now, and then spend next 10 to 11 minutes answering the questions. So you would be spending good amount of time answering the questions, analyzing the questions, doing using the process of elimination, doing certain milestones, all those things. So 10 to 11 minutes to answer the questions, and 2 minutes, or at most 2 minutes, to read the passage. So that makes it around 13 minutes, and 13 fives are 65 is, so you'll be able to do it within that time span. For writing section, go straight to the questions. There's no need to read the passage very deeply. You should definitely read the passage to understand a little bit of context, but then the questions are very, very they have a limited scope. So they underline the incorrect portions are already underlined, so you don't have to discover where you have to go. So the questions are very microscopic, so to say. They are not with a very huge scope, unlike reading where you don't know where the answer is. So why to read the whole passage and again? You can just go to that underlined part and identify whether it's a punctuation question, or a pronoun question, or an agreement question, or subject verb agreement question, conjunction, however, but, therefore, further. What kind of question is this? Is it a transition question? Is it so I've just given a little formula here. You can remember this IMPACTS, which stands for impacts. So you can identify the questions as illogical meaning questions, where they want to fit in certain sentence. Does it make sense there? So they are checking your ability to find a logic or context. So illogical meaning questions, or when they want to shuffle a sentence, the sentence can fit in best at this place. So where would it make sense? So that we can call them as illogical meaning, which stands for I. M is modifiers. Now modifiers should be placed very near to the object which is modified, and they should be correct. There are lots of tutorials on modifiers. You should go from that. But then for a quick understanding, you can remember that is it an illogical meaning question, or a modifier question, or a punctuations or pronoun question, or an agreement, which is subject verb agreement question, or a tenses question, or a transition question, or a sentence structure question. So IMPACTS is the acronym which you can remember, which stands for all these, and you can make a note in case you want to. You can pause it and just note it. So whenever you go to a question, ask yourself what kind of question is this, and then answer it accordingly. For maths, there are a few important tricks and tips which I have just noted too. There are lots of things people say, but I would rather just suggest two things. Use your common sense and leave nonsense. What I mean by this is that Use common sense. Sometimes common sense is the best thing to use rather than using your pen or pencil. Common sense gives you answers very quickly. And one very, very commonsensical uh, advice or suggestion is to use substitution. In many cases, substitution is the best way to get an answer. When everything else fails, substitution is the best way. It does take a little time sometimes if it's a long equation, because you have to try 4 5 options there, but then it's a short way to get an answer in case you're not able to strike the right way of doing it. Let's take some examples very quickly. Like this question is there. You can take a minute, pause and take a minute and read the question, and then we'll analyze it together and find the answer. Although I've already marked the answer there, but then I'll take you through the way to find an answer to this one. Well, if we read this question, we have been given a line graph here, and it says February, March, April, May, June, July, and August. So we are given almost 7 months. And what the question says is, which of the following is closest to the median price in dollars of 7 recorded prices of 1 metric ton of oranges? So whatever it is, basically we are supposed to find out the median. Okay, fine. So in this case, you should have to, first of all, circle this word median so that you know that you don't have to do anything else but find out the median. So when we know that when the number of objects is odd, you add 1 to it, divided by 2, and whatever the number you get, the number at that position is the median. So median is basically a value which is with reference to a position. So for odd values, you take the average of two middle values. Like for example, if the number of values is 4, the count of values is 4, second and fourth, you take the median of the second and the fourth value which is there in the sequence, and then you get the median of it. So basically you are supposed to arrange the objects in ascending or descending order, and then you have to go for a certain position there. Now if there are 7 objects, it would be like 7 plus 1, 8 by 2, which is fourth position. So fourth position I can find out quickly using this. First position is this is the lowest. This is the second position. This seems to be the third position. This is the fourth. My answer is 809. So 808 is the one which is there. I don't have to write anything or do anything to calculate median, right? Otherwise, we end up, thinking too much. It's more of a conceptual question, and we don't have to spend too much time figuring out the right answer. So, even within 10 seconds or 15 seconds, you would be able to get this question right. Let's do one more question of this sort. Now look at this. There is a table given here, and the x and y values are here. This is a function question, as you can make out. So these are the input values, these are the output values, and the question is asking what would be the output when the input is 8. If you want, you can pause the video right now. Just look at the question and tell me how will you figure out. First, I would advise you to do it on your own first, and then I'll tell you an easier way. So you can pause the video right now. We'll come back and we'll do it together. All right, so probably you first of all found out the slope, and then you figured out what is y-axis by substituting these values there, and then you put 8 there. It might have taken a minute or 2 minutes to get it. But here I'm going to tell you a simpler way. If you look at these values, like 4 minus 2 is 2 and 11 minus 7 is 4, so you can make out that the slope of this is 4 over 2, which is 2. So this is like y is equal to 2x, right? If slope is 2, y equal to 2x. So 4 should become 8 and 2 should become 4. But as you can see, 4 becomes 11. It should have become 8, but it is becoming 11, which means it is getting 3 more. So my equation is y equal to 2x plus 3, because 3 more is coming in. So y equal to 2x plus 3 is my final equation. I don't have to find y-intercept separately. I can make out using this. Let me just explain it once again. So basically, if I can make out that slope is 2, 11 minus 7 is 4, 4 minus 2 is 2. So 4 over 2 will give me 2. So my slope is 2. I can make out without writing. But then if the slope is 2, then input of 4 should give me 8, and input of 2 should give me 4. I have to double it, that's it. But it's not giving me 8, it is giving 3 more. 11 is 3 more than 8, which means I'm adding 3 after this. After doubling it, we are adding 3. So my equation is y equal to 2x plus 3. If 8 is the input, what the question says is 8. 8 is the input. 16 plus 3 would be 19. So like this, even without using any calculator or using even without writing, you can get to the right answer. So this is what I mean when I say that use common sense and leave nonsense. Leave nonsense is leave the things which unnecessarily spend your time. Try to save it. I mean, don't be rash. In case you find if in case you see that writing it down is the best way, then please write it down, but then there are easier ways of doing it which you can apply. I think this is good for now. All the very best for your test. Good luck.